If you could take social, like if you can make a social impact, but with a playfulness or entertainingness or kind of like fun, I think that's sort of something I'd really like to do.
Hi, Lena.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure.
Yes, you too.
Yeah, it's what an amazing movie. We loved watching and we had so much fun. So much like all these genres together. Yeah, it was amazing. I would like to know. I know the movie is based on the book for Kate de Camillo, but what was about Brad's script that got your attention?
Two things. The first thing that really pulled me into Brad's script was that he was one of the original writers for Arrested Development, and he put that flavor into the movie in a really big way. So it was very funny in a way that would make adults laugh. And I wasn't necessarily looking for a kids movie, but his script felt like it was meant for adults. And so I told Disney, I was like, I would like to make this movie for adults. The kids will come anyway, but my goal is to make it so that adults will laugh and have a good time. And then the second thing about the script that I really loved was that its message wasn't just about, a usual story about a family getting together. It was about a movie about broken people who figure out how they can see the world again, which I thought was really powerful.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I think I like the movie because it's not just for little kids; it's for the big kids too.
Yeah.
Right? So the cast is amazing. You have Allison, Ben, Danny, all of them. It's amazing. But what was about Matilda, and how long did it take you to find the perfect Flora?
It took us months, and we had Emily Schwaber, our casting director, who did a monumental job because we looked at over 1,000 girls, and we couldn't find our Flora, because you need somebody who is mature but also vulnerable and also funny. And it is very sort of special way of being funny. And the only person who checked that box at the very end was Matilda, who Emily Schwaber ended up finding. And she is so amazing. She's better than a lot of adults I know. I think she's going to win an Oscar someday.
Oh yeah. She's a rising star, and I think she's cute, and then she's smart, and the dynamic on set with. I can see that she had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Also, I wanna ask you about the Squirrel. Like it's like I think it's the movie that everybody's been waiting for, a superhero Squirrel movie. So yes, and how was like balance, like the practical and the real, like CGI, like you have a real scroll, and how was like that process?
It was really crazy because at the beginning we did meet some trained squirrels and tried to like see how much they could do, but we ended up doing the squirrel completely CGI. And so that meant for most of the movie, Matilda was acting alongside nothing. Sometimes it was just like this gray blob that had no head, and it was really weird. And so I would have to use a puppet to show her, and then I'd have to step away, and she would have to remember what the puppet did. And then even when we're editing with just like we're just looking at a blank wall. And then we just kind of had to believe and imagine what was going to be. And at the end, suddenly there's a squirrel there. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what the process was like.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it was perfect. And the way that the scroll does everything, I love it. We love Ulysses.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So, yeah. Now this is like your second big movie you did. You co-direct the Tiger Hunter, and now we have Flora and Ulysses. What was like the challenge part this time around? And or if you can compare to your with the Tiger Hunter, the challenges.
I mean, there was a few things. Obviously, this was a much, much bigger budget, so I had to learn about everything. I had to learn about everything from CGI to just working with like a very, very big crew. My first movie was less than $1 million, so this was a lot bigger than that. And it was also a process of working with a studio. I wasn't the only person in charge anymore. But so it was challenging in a lot of ways because I had to figure out a way to stick to my vision, but also give them what they were looking for too. And they were very supportive of their vision. But obviously they also wanted to make sure something felt right for the Disney model. And so I had to make sure that, okay, if there was something they didn't like, I had to keep trying to make something that was still something our team liked, but would still work for them. So we wouldn't compromise on our side, and they were supportive of letting us figure out, like we'd have a lot of debates back and forth until we finally got it. So it was good in that way, but they were very supportive because we had like they gave us the tools to make a really big movie and supported my vision. They said, we're going to give you the best people, and they did. We had Andrew Dunn, our cinematographer, who's done like 50 movies and some of like these giant movies, and Brad Copeland was always helping. Like he would be just a phone call away to come up with new jokes or new fun things. So it was really great in that way.
Yeah, I love it because you brought some, like, being from a different culture and being a female. I think you brought a lot of like different takes to the movie, which I like it a lot. Talking about being in a different culture, how much is important to you to be part of a movie or part of a project that like explore, that brings diversity to the big screen, behind and in front of the camera?
Yeah, that was definitely something we were trying to do. And it's weird because when you are somebody who comes from a diverse background, you don't have to think about it too much. Like you automatically don't just see one color. So that means when whether you're casting or you're finding people behind the camera, which is really important too, you're not thinking in terms of you're not limiting the amount of people who are qualified. Like when you see people who are from different backgrounds, you don't have those sorts of barriers quite as much. So that means a lot more people get in because you just see them for their talent. And so we were able to kind of figure out how to diversify some of our people that way, which was really nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. Also, the movie touches like there is this comic book, a lot of comic book references. Are you a fan of comic books, superheroes? How did you balance that on the movie?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of credit goes to my brother, who's like a huge comic book nerd. And when I was growing up, he would always tell me about, we'd read some of his comics, but otherwise he would go in and he would tell me the whole story of, whether it was Batman or X-Men characters or Spider-Man, but he'd go deeper into what are the psychological issues behind that character. And seeing how deep the superhero world is was actually very important for me here, because it even informed kind of like the gravitas with which we treated everything. And Ulysses even had his own psychological journey and things like that. And then it was a lot of fun kind of putting in Easter eggs or putting things that are a lot more obvious, like the 3-point landing, and just figuring out how much of that stuff we can put all over the movie.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have a favorite superhero?
Oh, I am a Wolverine fan myself.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what about real life superheroes? Do you have anyone that you look up to?
Oh, they're not famous. I have a few friends who are my personal superheroes. I feel like they've figured out how to make their whole life about helping other people, both in their family, community, and the world. And if I can do just a little bit of that, I will have done something.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like being a director, did you like you're very fresh, you bring a lot of like freshness to the screen. And which are the directors or anyone that you always like not copy them, but like look up for inspiration?
Yeah, it's kind of a blend because it's in two ways. Sort of a blend of kind of the intention behind people like Spike Lee or Ava DuVernay, who are making art that is socially relevant, is really important to me. But I always used to think like, okay, if I could be a little bit of that, but mix them with people who are playful, like Taika Waititi, who's my favorite, or Edgar Wright, or Danny Boyle. If you could if you can make a social impact, but with a playfulness or entertainingness or kind of like fun, I think that's sort of something I'd really like to do.
Yeah, and what everybody can expect of FLORA and Ulysses?
I think they can expect, both kids and adults to have a really good time, but unexpectedly come out just feeling a little bit more ready to face the world.
That's awesome. Lena, thank you so much for your time. A lot of success. And I hope everybody loved the movie as much as I did. And I cannot wait for your next project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, to like, and subscribe to our channel right here.